Hello everybody, welcome to our presentation about temporal models on time series databases. Systems such as cyber-physical systems are getting more and more complex and have a lot of data to process. For this purpose, several runtime monitoring solutions have been proposed in order to deal with extensive execution logs. One promising development in this respect is the integration of time series databases. These databases support the storage of massive amounts of historical data, as well as they provide fast query capabilities to reason about the runtime properties of such systems. By our approach, we want to close the gap between design time modeling activities and simulation or runtime monitoring activities, which employ time series analytics by explicitly mapping from models to time series databases. As a result, not only static information, but also dynamic information in models becomes visible, and key performance indicators for model-based systems can be calculated by applying aggregation functions such as mean, max, or mode, for example. Here on the slide, you see an example system consisting of 3 components. Each of these components have 2 properties. One property temperature and one property is active, which indicates if the component is working or not. If now a component starts to run, these properties are changing. For example, here in this model, the component C3 is starting to run, and thus the temperature value is changed from 10 to 50, and the active Boolean variable is set to true. By linking models in time series databases, these changes can be displayed and maintained over the time. To achieve this interconnection, we have developed a new partitional mapping from metamodels and their instances to DSDB, whereby only elements with runtime histories are mapped to the DSDB. Thus, it is a polyglot solution where the static information remains in the model and the dynamic history is stored in the database. Our model-to-time series mapper enables, on the one hand, to inject data to the DSDB, and on the other hand, to extract data from there. We developed a dedicated profile for extending metamodels with annotations to drive and optimize the generation of model-based DSDB connectors. We evaluate 2 alternative mapping strategies. First, the mapping of single properties into the DSDB, and second, storing the complete object to the DSDB. How do we achieve this? Well, as already mentioned before, we developed a profile for this purpose. In the profile, we extend in class and structural features by the stereotype temporal to indicate that these objects or properties are temporal and have a runtime history. Additionally, operations are locked if they are annotated with the stereotype lock. To store additional information in form of structural features, they can be annotated as tag. Furthermore, the stereotype-derived runtime property can be used to indicate that the derived property is calculated on the basis of runtime information stored in the DSDB. Based on this defined profile, it is now possible to use it for the example from before. On the right side, you can see the 2 different mapping strategies, the single property mapping and the complete object mapping for the class component. On the one hand, in the single property mapping, each property which should be locked in the DSDB is annotated with temporal, and also the operation run is annotated with locked to lock the operation run. On the other hand, the complete object mapping annotated the whole component with the tag temporal, and therefore everything is locked. After applying our profile to our component, it is also possible to use different query capabilities. For example, you can get values at specific timestamps or in a time range, or it is also possible to get the time points of explicit values or the time points of a value range. We additionally evaluate our approach with regard to scalability and performance. First results show that the database size increases for both strategies linear, and regarding performance there is no significant difference in executing runtime queries if we execute them with single property or complete object mapping. Both of them have the scale of milliseconds, which is really good. So, many thanks and enjoy reading.
Hallo Martin. Lieber hätte ich dich in Montreal natürlich umarmt, geherzt und gemeinsam ein Glas Bier getrunken. Die Zeiten sind besonders, das hat nicht sein sollen, wir werden es nachholen. Ich kann mich noch gut erinnern, wie wir heuer im Februar diskutiert haben. Du hast mir erzählt, auch von deiner Familie, von deiner bevorstehenden Pensionierung und was du dann auch alles vorhast. Ich kann mich auch gut erinnern, wie wir gemeinsam am Weihnachtsmarkt waren, am Maria Theresienplatz an der Uni Wien. Ich kann mich aber auch noch sehr gut daran erinnern, als ich dich das erste Mal gesehen habe. Das war in den ganz, ganz frühen 90er Jahren an der TU Braunschweig. Erich, ne, war der Professor, der mit dem Erich, ne, von Berlin zusammengearbeitet hat. Dort warst du und hast also ganz viele Arbeiten im Bereich so theoretische, fundamentale Grundlagen der Modellierung gemeinsam mit unter anderem Gregor Engels gemacht. Und Gregor hat mich eingeladen und dort habe ich dich das erste Mal kennengelernt. Ich möchte mich mit dieser Videobotschaft ganz auf modern, ganz herzlich für die letzten, ja ich kann sagen 30 Jahre, seit ich dich kenne, seit ich dich privat zu schätzen gelernt habe, seit ich dich beruflich sehr zu schätzen gelernt habe, bedanken. Und ich freue mich einfach auf die nächsten 30 Jahre mit dir. Alles Gute und statt am Bier trinke ich jetzt einfach einen Weihnachtstee, obwohl es erst Oktober ist. Ciao, Martin.
Ja, lieber Martin, auch von meiner Seite meine besten Glückwünsche für den neuen Lebensabschnitt. Ich möchte mich auch bedanken für die tollen Kollaborationen, Diskussionen, Support von der ersten Minute an, wo wir dich kennengelernt haben. Ich kann mich auch noch erinnern, die Models 2005 haben wir uns das erste Mal in Person gesehen und auch für alle Arbeiten, die wir gemeinsam gemacht haben, alle Aktivitäten, auch die Ausflüge in Malaga. Herzlichen Dank nochmal dafür, Martin. Und ja, ich hoffe, wir sehen uns bald wieder.